available. I believe that is the Black Goat Laughs.
I think so.
We're going to start off with the Fiendsmith Engraver.
That's fine.
Will we see Adam play it differently? So far, most of the people playing the Fiendsmith package has been weaving it in and out because it's a great resource card, great way to end your field, and you can always hold back on it. We're going to start off with the Fiendsmith track activated now, and that is going to be good.
Doesn't seem like there are at least any responses that Sergio can make, at least at this time.
And that's going to add the Fabled Lurie. The discard, it has to happen. That's going to discard the Lurie. Lurie, mandatory effect. Activate in the graveyard, summon out onto field. That is immediately going to be linked away into a link 1 of Fiendsmith's Requiem. That is good.
I think I can see maybe 2 copies of Ghost Mourner and something else there in the hand of Sergio, so maybe just hold on. Does seem like there is an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring that he's been holding on to as well.
Interacting with this deck is very difficult. Since the plays are so interweavable, like, oh, we're just going to leave into the Fiendsmith now, we're just going to do something else, or we're going to continue down the line. But most people, from what we've seen, they just start making different kinds of plays. And now we're going to use the equipping of Fiendsmith Requiem. And I think we're paying a cost here. Or not paying a cost, but rather we're just summoning out. Well, we are paying a cost now. That's going to be the Oak, and that's going to be met with the Ash. Ooh, but that telegraphs quite a lot, because that's not Poplar, that's not Ash, that's an Oak summon. Kind of reveals a little bit about your hand, but we're going to continue to try to push through right now. And we're going to take 2 of our Fiendsmith monsters.
The Ash Blossom held on, gave a little bit of confidence for Adam to push further into the combo, but was hit there at the right time.
And that's going to be Fiendsmith Sequence. Sequence can definitely generate more cards, but that's going to be met with a different card. That's going to be Ghost Mourner, Moonlit Chill.
Important to note that there may be some effect damage in the future there as well.
These are quite pivotal moments, because Sequence generates more monsters by performing that fusion summon, and eventually could lead into the Promethean Princess. But even if it does, we still lost the effect of Oak's effect to summon a Snake Eye from the deck. Ooh. So now we have Bestial Magnamut, activate banishing the Fiendsmith Engraver, summoning itself out onto the field. So
well, luckily for Adam, there is another one in the graveyard there, so we're going to go ahead and link off.
Adam's trying to extend as far as he can, but those 2 hand disruptions, I think it's very, very powerful here. And, ooh, we're going into the SP Little Knight directly, and that is going to be a bit of damage, because that was a Ghost Mourner.
So 1,200 off the top, certainly a number we're familiar with seeing in first turn Fiendsmith combos, but not necessarily in this direction.
So we're going to be banishing the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. I mean, it could come up as a resource card. You could put it to the back from Poplar, in case you want to keep Poplar in the graveyard to keep the level 1s intact in the graveyard. But getting rid of it, it's still a play just for contingency's sake.
Certainly a lot of different things that could grab that Ash Blossom out of the graveyard here, but it looks like at the end we're searching for Bestial Druisworm off the Bestial Magnamut, and that's going to be a pass. Going back over to Sergio.
Okay, so we have SP Little Knight. Ooh, this interaction is a little bit limited at the moment from what we see. We have 2 set cards and the banishing effect of SP Little Knight. Starting off with his own Fiendsmith Engraver, Sergio. And it will be successful. We are entering Resolution, and we're going to be adding Fiendsmith Tracked. It is going to be tracked. There are multiple Fiendsmith cards. We just don't want to make the assumption it could maybe be the token generator.
Hey, these duelists are up here for a reason. They have shown us so many surprises over the course of the weekend, but right now we are just going for the reliable Fabled Lurie off the Fiendsmith Tracked.
It's such a powerful play. It is such a powerful play. It feels like emergency teleport.
It is good, but hey, emergency teleport's good too.
Okay, now Lurie has been summoned onto the field through its own effect and by being discarded. Link 1. I mean, these plays here line up pretty well against the SP Little Knight. There's just no monsters on the field half the time, and with no monsters on the field, SP Little Knight can't activate.
And she's not very effective there against the Fiendsmith Requiem due to its quick effect, because the Black Goat Laughs.
Ooh. Lock it. Depends on what the monster we're calling, but that monster cannot be summoned, I believe, unless it's from the graveyard. Well, the first so we are going to get the summon, I think. We're putting back the Engraver, and you can still summon it onto the field. It just can't come out of the deck.
Certainly slowed down Fiendsmith Requiem's effect, but doesn't mean Fiendsmith Engraver is locked out of the field. Just how it gets to the field is limited.
Now that Black Goat Laugh still has a second effect in the graveyard, but you know, you only get one effect once per turn. We're gonna enter battle phase.
Ooh.
I mean, this is interesting. This is very different. This is not, you know, both people coming out of the gate just swinging super hard. They are kind of, you know, testing the waters on both sides. We didn't get a maximum board develop on either side, and SP Little Knight being destroyed by battle did not get the maximum value. Only banished an Ash Blossom. Effectively, not too much done, and now we're going to go into the bonfire. Well, I guess we minimized the stuff on the field, and we also burned away the Black Goat Laughs.
Sergio did have to go ahead and get rid of that SP Little Knight, maybe thinking, I don't want to put anything on the board yet, with the ability for it to be banished by SP Little Knight until the end of the turn. But it did eat up the battle phase.
This is incredible for Sergio. Sergio's starting to open up the Snake Eye lines here. We have the Snake Eye Ash being added, summoned, and now we got the Poplar added and summoned, and the Divine Temple has been activated, and this is going uncontested.
Certainly limited cards on Adam's side, or he may be holding off on interactions, much as Sergio did during his first turn. It looks like we are seeing the Snake Eyes at Diabellstar hit the spell and trap zone.
Here's an interesting thing. Black Goat Laughs, I'm not sure if it's going to be doing too much here, even if we continue on. Because most of the interaction that Fiendsmith has are going to be coming from the graveyard, and I think we're not locked out of the graveyard summon for our engravers.
Let's see what we've got coming up next as we send Snake Eye Ash and Snake Eyes Diabellstar to the graveyard using Ash's effect. Going to go ahead and bring out the Flamberge Dragon.
Now this is main phase 2. We did attack over the SP Little Knight, so this is mainly for board development.
Sometimes establishing a powerful board, you don't need a battle phase. Your opponent just can't do anything and may concede.
Oh, that's a very big part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, unless you're Tenpai.
Well, you got to make sure to use your time well. I will say, if it was a Tenpai mirror match, this might be a very short duel.
Sergio being very careful, considering all options. Remember, everything can be a resource. Hand, deck, graveyard, banish, extra deck,
a
everything.
lot of resources.
And we're going to be summoning into Hita, the Charmer Blaze.
Might have been the purpose of banishing the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, maybe seeing into the future that Hita might have shown up, but obviously with the additional fire monsters, there's a lot of great choices right now.
So, Flamberge is going to successfully resolve and summon out Poplar and Ash. And the Poplar is going to activate and put the Snake Eyes Diabellstar back into the spell and trap zone.
I don't imagine it'll stay there for long with a powerful effect like it has. Sergio taking a quick look at the graveyard before he decides what to do next.
I wonder if he's going to wait till the Poplar's back in the grave before, you know, summoning onto the field and putting the Poplar into the spell and trap zone. I think that's perhaps a cool line, whether we've seen a lot of players do. But now we got the Snake Eye Oak being summoned through the Hita. Wow.
Thanks, friend.
Don't forget, we share graveyards when it comes to this mirror match. Those Charmers, you know, we build a little bridge into your graveyard and, you know, just fish out one of your monsters.
Talked about our turn, our banishment, now it's our graveyard.
Ooh.
Not sure what he wants to do here. Seems to think about linking off the Hita and the Snake Eye Oak.
That's a possibility. Oh, it seems like we are pushing out the Flamberge into the spell and trap zone instead. And now we're performing a link summon. We're looking into the extra deck, and that's going to summon out into Celine.
Makes a little more sense. You don't see Flamberge Dragon in the spell and trap zone every day.
There's more than enough to get 3+ counters on Celine. That means a spellcaster can be summoned into that arrow. We do have Snake Eye Diabellstar as the spellcaster. With a field of 6 monsters, you know, the sky's the limit on the type of fields you can develop.
It looks like we're going into our next monster here, and it is going to be eyeing that Nightmare Phoenix. Maybe afraid of that face-down card. But looks like we're swapping out instead to something else.
We're going to go for Moon of the Closed Heaven. Interesting. And I would take 2 monsters, to make an Appaloosa. I think we're just trying to generate light fiend monsters because Tract is in the graveyard. We're going to attempt to perform a fusion summon. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think we're trying to either make one of the big fusion. We're going for 2 materials, and that can mean only 1 monster that I can see in this extra deck. That's going to be Fiendsmith's Lacrima. Lacrima can summon back the Fiendsmith if necessary. I mean, remember, Black Goat last may be a little bit of protection.
So we did see
block out, but we can summon from graveyard still.
We can. We did see a flash of the Bestial Druid's Worm there, but one of the negations that Appaloosa can perform has been used to stop that Bestial Druid's Worm and leave it in Adam's hand.
Adam in a very difficult position. There's limited cards available. If you just do a little bit of card counting on the field, there's Appaloosa just, applying pressure. There's the field spout that could potentially push a Flambridge onto the field. We are not done with this current phase yet, and we do have link materials ready to go back into the extra deck.
Now, Beatrice is the Lady of the Eternally likely target, but it seems like we're actually going to be fusing 3. Oh, it's Desiree time.
Desiree is such a powerful card. We constantly say this card is underrepresented, and we're going to see Desiree now on the field. Now we have Monster Negation, and we also have an Omni Negation.
Well, if your dueling career is on the line, that is a great way to pile some cards together.
That was a neat way to just directly equip the Fiendsmith sequence onto the Desiree. That is one of the options. Is it from field or graveyard?
Ooh, 1 for 1.
Oh, wow. Sergio's just really pushing it now. Everything feels so safe now. 1 for 1 for Snake Eye Oak. We did not use the effect earlier. So we're going to use the effect of Snake Eye Oak now, and we're going to special summon back Snake Eye's Poplar.
Hello again, old friend. Certainly
Poplar popping in and out.
Back and forth.
A very tough position to break out of, but maybe the Heart of Cards is going to be what it takes to come out of this. But right now, you can kind of get a good look at the establishment of this current field. We can see how Sergio plays his current playstyle, the way that he plays, and adapt to our own strategy when it comes to this mirror match. Oh, wow. We are trying to put the nail on the coffin with the SP Little Knight. We're trying to get rid of stuff from the graveyard. The graveyard resources can be taken out.
And not a bad idea. Remember, this is a long main phase 2, but it is still main phase 2.
Don't forget, Fiendsmith and Graveyard can be activated in graveyard to just reset up the combo, and using the SP Little Knight preemptively rather than waiting for an IP Masquerena interaction might be the best way to go here.
So still running 2 Flamberge Dragon. I know some duelists have kind of cut it down to 1, but it allows you a little bit of redundancy there to place it in the spell and trap zone, and not worry, you still have another one in the tank.
Just checking out the graveyard. I mean, there's a lot of interaction, but, well, rather, there's a lot of options for Sergio right now. Interaction, a little bit limited on Adam's side. Not a lot of cards to really play.
All right, so passing that back, seems like he's happy other than placing that in the spell and trap zone. Interesting, so we can go ahead and grab it himself.
I mean, that's one of the meanest things about that card. Flamberge Dragon, you put one of the big negator monsters in from your opponent's side, put it into their spell and trap zone, and just take it for yourself to give yourself an additional negation.
Thanks, friend. It is true that there's a lot of nuance to these mirror matches because, again, especially with cards that can travel back and forth across the board, whether you're special summoning them from your opponent's graveyard or just straight up snatch stealing them, your opponent technically is helping you complete your puzzle.
Yes. Sergio has no cards left in hand, so everything is now on the table for him. Adam confirming the graveyard interaction. Was Promethean Princess even summoned this turn?
Not
I don't
this
think
time.
so. So the graveyard interaction is a little bit limited. Now we're going to go for the Black Goat Lapse. We get to turn off an effect. So a particularly named effect will not be used.
Normal summon Poplar.
Normal summon out Poplar. Ooh.
Really thinking about this Poplar effect, but it looks like we're going to go ahead and negate it with the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess and chain the forbidden droplets.
That is wonderful. Now we can turn off the Appaloosa.
Forbidden Droplets has really been doing a lot of work this weekend.
We're going to negate 2 cards here. That's the SP Little Knight and the Appaloosa.
Interesting that Fiendsmith Desiree lives to fight another day, but likely could have been the card called by the Black Goat Who Laughs. Didn't get to hear that. But I feel like if you were going to stop something, but you wouldn't be able to respond with monster effects anyway.
This could be enough to climb back. Poplar effect, putting Poplar back into the spell and trap zone. And we did get the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye.
Adam showcasing the termination of a YCS champion. It does look bad, but it doesn't mean you're out. Using the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye to go ahead and send Snake Eye Poplar to the graveyard to call another fine fire friend. It's going to be Snake Eye Ash.
Snake Eye Ash effect. Now we know Oak is kind of already been in play, so which monster is it going to be? Ash can add Ash, but it's going to be Poplar this time. Poplar being on the field, that means we're going to reveal, activate, summon? But you can't use the Poplar effect to search because you used it to grab the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye.
Certainly a great card, but only can use those powerful effects once per turn.
A tight position to be in, limited effects, a tight and narrow path.
Adam taking a moment to size up his options and bring out his own Hita.
Hita is one of the strongest cards when it comes to the mirror match because the graveyard just becomes this infinite resource available. And taking in Oak will generate an additional monster, and you of course have the additional effect of Oak that you can use to generate a Flamberge Dragon as well.
Certainly finding another way back into this duel. 4 link materials worth of monsters on the field, but a lot of different ways you could go here.
This is the comeback story for Adam right now.
Well,
one piece at a time, one piece at a time.
Again, showing us the grit and determination of a YCS champion. If you've had this experience before, if you've ridden the roller coaster ride, the NAWCQ is certainly important, but it may just be another tournament in Adam's eyes as he puts out his next monster.
Snake Eye's Flamberge Dragon has been summoned onto the field. Very strong card. Ooh, now we're going to the Bestial Druis Worm.
It didn't go anywhere, it was just stopped. So what light or dark monster shall we banish? A couple of different options there, but looks like Celine's going to be the one we get rid of.
Yep, just essentially just getting the monster summoned onto the field. This, ooh, we have Link 3? We are going for Link 3. We're going for our own Celine. Now, you know, we check both players' graveyard for spell cards on this one.
Looks like I saw 3 over on Adam's side.
Oh. We're going into Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker effect, targeting Celine, gaining 3,000 attack points, 1,000 per link rating.
Making it a whopping 5,300 and putting multiple attributes in the graveyard for Access Code Talker to use its powerful effects. But
and
before
we get the effect of Flamberge Dragon, Flamberge Dragon is going to summon back the Oak and a Poplar. That's going to continue on into the extra deck. And we're going to go for a Fiendsmith line now, going into Moon of the Closed Heaven. Adam going for closing out the game. Some people opted to not play Access Code. It seems like Adam made the right choice of playing the Access Code in this game. And we're going to be quickly reaching the conclusion of Game 1 if all of this fall into place.
Access Code Talker has made a huge impact this weekend every time it's graced the featured match stage, whether it won or lost. It definitely changed the tempo of the duel, so we'll see if Adam's able to win right now with this card.
We're going to go for the equip of the Fiendsmith Requiem. We're going to send away cards, or we're going to go for Necrocore Princess to generate additional damage.
I'll go to battle. Sure. Attack for 24.
We're going to go for attack for 24. We're playing a little bit more reserve now.
Did not choose to use the effect of Access Code Talker just yet. Might have wanted to hold off and get the battle phase done first.
So I take 224. So I take 2,000. Yeah, so this is a 20. So when he. So.
Judge is just working out the math.
Oh, this was dropleted. The attack got frozen at half. Remember, it does not negate and then do the other part. It's half, freeze it at half, and then do the negation.
I believe that should make that 400 then, since it did use one of its negation effects and would have had 800 attack left.
Can I appeal that?
And they are doing a ruling appeal.
As is their entitled right, but it'll take us just a little bit of time to get that done.
So,
Again, interesting match so far, though, watching how just this first game one is really taking them through the paces here as, again, it shows you that a mirror match is not pre-written.
That's right. This is actually a very tight rope that Adam is currently walking because he's already used the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. So that's not exactly a card you can throw into the graveyard with Necrocrypt Princess, or not Necrocrypt Princess, but if you tried to go for the Necro Princess line to the Beatrice, that would have put a card into the graveyard, you can add a card, maybe do another play, but we've already burned through most of the Snake Eye cards. And the equipped Requiem also gains attack, so we're trying to maximize damage and minimize the recovery that Sergio's trying to do.
Our mech's still on?
Yeah, your mech's
So this is kind of interesting here. Where Sergio has a ton of cards here, we don't want to put the Flamberge into the graveyard because I could just reload the entire field and just re-add everything into hand.
Start that combo straight from the beginning.
It's just a very difficult position to play. I mean, he's doing a really good job considering you're staring down essentially at a full field while only having 2 cards to play.
It's going to take a bit, but hey, we're going right back to the match here. We are going to go ahead and attack.
Oh, and
53 and
we're looking at 53 into the halved. Yep. Wow, that's actually a very long-term play. You know, having that, making sure you can do enough damage, especially on the Appaloosa and the SP Luna, just minimizing the life points just by just drop leading both of those, not to mention that it's like a double play right there to turn them off and maximize my damage.
But we'll get an update for the folks at home when we can, but it looks like duelist play is continuing as Access Code Talker banishes that light attribute Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians, to go ahead and destroy the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye.
Perhaps that particular droplet was a little miscalculation in terms of the math time, and we can't reach that damage just yet. Yeah, there's only 1,500 life points. I think that 400 difference was a complete game changer right there.
Well, luckily we have some great Yu-Gi-Oh! Judges to make sure that everything is working as intended, but it is true that this duel isn't over yet. We're going to banish Heat of the Fire channel, there, screw Fire Charmer, and then that Ablaze is ablazing, getting rid of the Fiendsmith sequence.
Getting rid of the Fiendsmith sequence, very interesting choice. Not getting rid of every single Fiendsmith. I believe you can still destroy the Desiree. I think that is an option. I mean, we're prevented from targeting, but Access Code does not target.
Well, it looks like we weren't able to perform the summon that we did there, so have to come up with a new game plan on Adam's side.
Is Sequence in the graveyard?
Yeah, my sequence is in here, my moon's.
It is in the graveyard.
I see.
No. That might be a minor procedural error right there.
Yeah, it's been a very long weekend for these duelists, so you have to understand what it's like to be on the road to Worlds, having woken up so early so many days in a row and playing just non-stop Yu-Gi-Oh! It can change your game plan sometimes.
Okay. There is a procedural error just for the summon of something that doesn't exist.
Hey, but again, that's just going to be a minor, so that's a warning, so the play can continue from here.
The play has just been rerouted. We put the card back into the extra deck, and now we can get into the sequence, and you can try the sequence play once again.
Well, we talked about math earlier. Order of operations is important.
And we're going to perform this particular fusion play with 2 monsters, Fiendsmith, Lacrima.
Okay,
Lacrima effect. Now, you don't give up. You just keep on going. You can take a banished copy of one of your Fiendsmith. It's not just graveyard. It's both banish and graveyard. And you can summon back the Fiendsmith Engraver.
Banishment certainly accessible there as Adam goes ahead and decides what he's going to do next. Again, you're absolutely right. Maybe the 1,200 would have been enough to close the game out, but it just wasn't how the cards worked out in Adam's favor. So, it does have materials there, but it looks like we might actually be link summoning.
Definitely not feeling tilted, trying his best to keep on pushing. We're going into Promethean Princess, which is a fantastic monster.
I will use it, yes.
Which fire monster are we going to summon back now?
For the 12.
The appeal earlier was upheld.
So again, that's why the life points are what they are. It just wasn't going to go Adam's way. But again, he is not discouraged here, going ahead and link summoning into the Promethean Princess. And now we see the Fiendsmith Engraver coupled up with a Flamberge Dragon off of the Promethean Princess effect.
Ooh, what a recovery. Originally, the field was, quite menacing. And still making all the way of a comeback right here. Very, very impressive. And we've pushed the Desiree into the Spell and Trap Zone.
Oh, that's interesting. Being able to steal the Desiree with your own Flamberge Dragon. However, your opponent has one too.
That's quite dangerous, I would say. I mean, both players can attempt to use something like that.
I guess it's just going to be who blinks first.
Is pushing that Desiree going to make a huge difference? We're going to find out soon. I believe they're talking with the judges at this moment.
I'll concede from there.
Looks like we might have had a detour where Adam did not make a play that worked, so he might be conceding now at this time.
Commit. As we saw, Sergio committed his entire hand in that previous game, as Adam tried to commit his entire hand to find that one little point. But there is no recovery play after that.
Certainly not. Now, speaking of committing cards from the hand, we do see the Wanted Seeker Sinful Spoils drop to get the Snake Eyes Diabell Star.
That's an interesting ad.
Well, it might telegraph that you already have the Diabell Star, which will send Snake Eyes Diabell Star to the grave, but infinite and permanent, stopping any search.
Will that be enough? Normal summon out Snake Eye Ash. The effect of Snake Eye Ash will be resolving successfully. That's going to add Snake Eyes Poplar into hand. Poplar effect, activate, successful. We're going to place that onto the field, special summon in defense mode. Is this one going off as well? We're going to activate the effect, perhaps?
And Ash Blossom feels like it's heavy in his hand, but it looks like it's good. The search is allowed.
The deck twirls around for a second. I thought maybe he had both copies of the things he would search, but this is going to get the Divine Temple to Snake Eye.
I will activate. Yep.
With the activation of Divine Temple to Snake Eye, well, Snake Eye's Diabell Star is already in the graveyard. What could he possibly be getting onto the field now?
Well, he might be taking a note from Sergio's book, possibly placing a Flamberge Dragon, but it looks like instead Snake Eye Oak hits the Spell and Trap Zone.
Wow, that's a throwback to the previous format of how we played Snake Eye. But of course, the Poplar can definitely reload our graveyard as well.
Poplar effect.
Poplar effect, that's the one way that we can fish the Diabell Star back onto the Spell and Trap Zone.
Activate.
Immediately using that card to put it onto the field. We're on IP Masquerena territory. Ooh, okay.
Wasting absolutely no time here. Snake Eyes Diabell Star and IP Masquerena fill up those link arrows to combine to form. Ooh, another Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians.
We're quickly layering ourselves from being hit by disruptions from the hand that are monster-based.
Anything here?
Summoning back our Snake Eye Diabell Star.
Oh, I think it's coming down now.
Ooh.
Bestial Druid's Worm to get rid of the IP Masquerena, I think. That'll disrupt that combo.
That is a significant hit. No longer are we going to see the Flamberge Dragon placing the IP Masquerena into the back row and summoning back onto it to make the SP. So for now we have the Appaloosa now summoned onto the field.
Certainly limits the options that Adam has. Appaloosa is a very strong card, but it would have been nice to have that IP Masquerena in tote, but he'll have to reconsider his options there, looking through the graveyard, making that next decision, not sure where to go next. Looks like 2 spell cards in the hand from what I could see.
Now we haven't seen any Fiendsmith card just yet, but that pivot is also possible. We're going to activate the effect of Ash, and that's going to be met with Ash.
There it is. I do see, I believe it's a Bonfire and a Forbidden Droplet. Powerful cards on their own, but not enough to keep this board moving forward.
Are we going to use the effect of Appaloosa? Appaloosa is going to negate the Ash Blossom, so Snake Eye Ash will be able to resolve.
I had to push a little further, use up some of the gas in Appaloosa's tank. Of course, the only gas tank I guess we see on the field here is that motorcycle for IP Masquerena, but she is not going to be part of Snake Eye's Flamberge game plan here now that it's out. Have to find another good monster to pull out of the graveyard and place in the Spell and Trap Zone.
This is very neat.
I'll go Flamberge.
We're going to use the effect of Flamberge. We're going to push the Druid Swarm into the spawn trap zone, and we're going to set 2 cards and pass turn. 3 cards in Sergio's hand. Not exactly a simplified game state because we're starting off with the Snake Eye Ash on the normal summon.
I will attempt Appaloosa.
So are going to use the Appaloosa, or at least attempt to, waiting for Sergio to determine whether or not he's going to respond. Being locked out of the Snake Eye Ash could be difficult.
This is a 2 negate Appaloosa. I believe both negations are gone. That's a 0 attack Appaloosa now.
If it resolves,
Appaloosa. So it's
Appaloosa is fine. Very scary field still. It's only an Appaloosa negation. And we're going to activate Fiendsmith Engraver.
certainly worth it, as we've talked about. When these 2 decks combine, they just have 2 different paths to go and can alternate their sequencing. So now we're going to go ahead and use that Fiendsmith track we got off the Fiendsmith Engraver to take a Fabled Lure once more.
Sergio feeling very happy that his cards are not being interrupted with the face downs. There's limited interaction here. We could summon back the Oak. We can summon the Druid Swarm, but the Druid Swarm summon could end up, backfiring. But the Druid Swarm also acts as resource for that Snake Eye Ash to send away later. There's a lot of things to think about here. But the path is slowly clearing up. The War Fog is gone.
Speaking of thinking, though, Sergio certainly has to be mindful of things like the Black Goat Who Laughs, having seen it earlier in the duel, not knowing exactly what those face-down cards on Adam's side of the field are. Of course, we know one of those is a Bonfire, and the other is likely that Forbidden Droplet.
And speaking of Ash Effect, we're going to use Ash Effect sending away that Druid Swarm. Summoning into Snake Eye Oak. I believe Druid Swarm has been called on chain.
1 Oak, target Ash.
Oak, target Ash. Chain link 1.
Swarm,
Chain link 2, Druid Swarm.
target your Flamberge.
Targeting Flamberge.
So, Flamberge will go ahead and go to the graveyard from that Druid Swarm effect, and we'll say hello again to Snake Eye Ash.
Are there enough monsters in the graveyard for that Flamberge to activate? And there will be. There's going to be Snake Eye Ash, and there's going to be a Snake Eyes Poplar being summoned on the field from the graveyard. Of course, both of those have trigger effects as well.
Poplar, chain link 1, Ash, chain link 2.
Adam here walling off, trying to protect his life points.
Certainly not a bad idea when you're a game behind.
We are adding Ash and original Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye. The follow-up for Adam, should he get a turn.
He certainly has bodies on the field, but with a 0 attack Appaloosa and just some defense mode monsters, it might be difficult to get out of this turn alive. Right now, Sergio combining his 2 monsters to a Link Summon. Lots of different options we've seen so far in this tournament. The one he chooses is actually going to be Nightmare Phoenix.
That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever. We're going to slowly clean off the field. Using the Nightmare Phoenix, we are targeting the middle card. I believe that is also Coaling, so perhaps there's going to be a drop, but that's going to be a Forbidden Drop that we're going to be sending to the graveyard, a Poplar.
Did get to force the Droplet out.
I mean, Droplet is going to be very effective. And,
Ooh, interesting.
Turning
stopping
off
that.
the Requiem.
So less worried about the draw, more worried about the ability for Fiendsmith Requiem to have a little fun.
Now, Requiem can't get another Engraver onto field, but you have so many monsters that you can just link it away and still get into the next part of the sequence.
Sort of a different lens in which to view the creativity we've talked about this entire tournament. When your back is against the wall playing this deck, you can make some different choices to pivot in whatever situation you're in.
But the monster at hand that's likely going to be summoned from Sergio is going to be, I mean, he's been looking at that Promethean Princess. We have 3 materials worth of Link. And it's going to be Promethean Princess.
That's the decision.
Princess effect.
Special.
Are we going to be met with a disruption? Nope. That's going to be Flamberge Dragon summoned back onto the field. Okay, the game state's more or less simplified now. And we get the effect of Divine Temple. And that is going to summon the Oak back from the Spell and Trap Zone. And that's going to set Oak effect.
Now is definitely the time to do it when you're staring down that many monsters. You can't do much without Appaloosa since it's got that 0 attack, but you can at least stop the bleeding as much as you can.
So, Adam here maybe trying to wall off as much as possible because not everyone plays access code. Access code would have been, be able to clear off these monsters.
Hita, target your Flamberge.
But some people
Ooh.
do side access code as well, so be very careful.
That Hita is going to hurt again, seeing 2 copies of Snake Eye Flamberge Dragon, one
Ooh,
from
that's
each side.
scary.
You want to be careful though with the order of operations here. You don't want to accidentally send your opponent's cards to the graveyard and then, well, make that Flamberge Dragon a liability.
I'll use Flamberge here. I'll put back.
Flamberge effect. We're going to be pushing the Oak back into the spell trap zone.
Middle.
Middle zone. 3,000, 3,000, 1850, and Oak, I believe. Well, not exactly high stats.
But I don't think Oak is going to be alone here as we bring out the Fiendsmith Engraver.
Are we going to
Requiem
equip?
effect?
We're going to equip with the Engraver. Well, with the Requiem onto the Engraver. That gives you another opportunity to send away another one of the monsters.
Engraver effect.
Seems
That's
like
what
we're
we're
not
doing.
going to go too
Target
deep into the
and-
extra deck. Maybe there's no access code, so we got to find alternative ways to remove all these monsters off of the field and attempt to go into battle phase.
The good news is the Engraver has ground up that Requiem into the dust it needs to get rid of that monster. Looks like we're attacking that thing.